Generally, a graph is plotted when there is a need to understand the relationship between two given variables. For example, increase in land price or increase in pass percentage are some examples of such situations. Let's assume that we need to understand the trend amongst students choosing mathematics as their special subject. The information given by the school is as shown here. This table representing the data or information is called the data table. From this table, we know that the year is represented on the x-axis and the number of students for that year is given along the y-axis. To plot a graph based on the data in the data table, plot each point whose coordinates are given in the table on the graph. The first point will be 125. The second will be 235. The third will be 330. And the fourth will be 440. When we join the points by a line, we can understand the pattern.
Note that a line graph displays data that changes continuously over a period of time.
A graph is said to be linear when the plotted points form a pattern which is a straight line. Line graphs compare two variables. Each variable is plotted along an axis. So, if you want to graph the profit made by a company every year, you could put years along the horizontal line or the x-axis and the profit along the vertical line or the y-axis. Line graphs are good at showing specific values of any data, and therefore when one variable is given, the other can easily be determined. They show trends in data clearly. You can clearly see how one variable is affected by the other as it increases or decreases. Line graphs enable us to predict results of the data that are not yet recorded. Let us now learn to read data from a line graph. This line graph shows the distance travelled by Rahul, who was driving at a speed of 50 kilometers per hour. Let's see if we can answer some questions by just looking at this graph. How far has Rahul travelled in 3 hours? The point that matches with 3 on the horizontal axis also matches with 150 on the vertical axis. So, from the graph, we can see that Rahul has travelled 150 kilometers in 3 hours. How long would Rahul take to travel 100 kilometers? The point that matches with 100 on the vertical axis also matches with 2 on the horizontal axis. So, from the graph, we can see that Rahul would have driven for 2 hours to cover a distance of 100 kilometers. How long do you think Rahul should drive to cover 350 kilometers? From the graph, we can predict that Rahul should drive for 7 hours to cover a distance of 350 kilometers. So now we can see how graphs help us in interpreting any information.
Let us summarize what we've covered in this learning unit.